Vandalism is a deliberate hostile behavior aimed at environmental objects with the motive to damage the property. And that damage, which is usually on the nation's pipelines, is our focus tonight on the program. Good evening and welcome. The frequency of oil pipeline vandalism in the country has indeed become worrisome and seems inexorable in the downstream oil sector management. In Nigeria, petroleum and associated products are transported through extensive network of pipelines that cut across different locations throughout the country, from remote to populated areas. Some of these pipelines are laid above ground level, perhaps without adequate surveillance, thereby exposing and making them targets of repetitive attacks by vandals. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says the number of pulverized points on oil pipelines is on the increase, and its group managing director described the problem as a major security concern. He, however, noted that NNPC and security agencies are working assiduously to produce, or rather to reduce, if not eliminate, incidents of pipeline vandalism, which are exposing host communities to danger and, of course, draws back the nation's oil sector. The recent pipeline explosion in Ekoro area, Abule Awa in Lagos, which claimed lives, displaced many families and destroyed properties worth millions of naira, is a direct consequence of ruptured pipeline caused by vandals. Their activities take place usually within communities, and this brings into perspective the expected role of the rural community or rural authorities in the protection of pipelines in their respective domains, plus whether or not the existing arrangement of pipeline monitoring protocol conforms with best practice for pipeline management. We will deliberate on all the issues on the table and get to the bottom of the matter. My guest is Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji, Chief Operating Officer, Downstream Sector, NNPC. And I am Kirian Umayo. It's time for news, views, and analysis. It's Week and File. Now we'll bring you the news. Troops of Operation Lafia Dule have identified patrol of Maiduguri-Damboa Road in Borno State to ensure safety of motorists plying the route. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa, who accompanied the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, on operational visit, has update on security situation in the area.
This is Maiduguri-Damboa Road that was reopened by the Nigerian Army 2 weeks ago after improving the security. It is about 1 hour 30 minutes drive from Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to Damboa through this critical route that also leads to Biu, Chibok, and parts of Adamawa State. Empty shell, empty case littered everywhere. Some buildings still wearing old bullet wounds. An indication that serious battle was once fought here. This battle, these troops, are determined to continue till the enemy is completely subdued.
The morale is very, very high. We are here along Bulabuli-Damboa Road to stop all these Boko Haram. As you can see, the civilians are already passing. The road is very, very clear now. We will not leave this road until we stop this Boko Haram insurgency.
For close security monitoring, apart from escorting travelers, troops with different platforms patrol the road regularly.
My motor got problem that...
To this stranded commercial driver, whose vehicle broke down while on transit, the arrival of Lieutenant General Buratai's convoy is a prayer answered.
My motor got problem that from shaft. That's why soldier people come stay and wait for me that may they remove the passenger and put inside their own motor to go Damboa. So thank you.
This infrastructure links Damboa and Biu in Borno State. This bridge is one among several structures destroyed by Boko Haram in northeast Nigeria.
This bridge is what they call Mamamfada Bridge. This bridge was actually blown in the year 2014. This was when the Boko Haram terrorists were trying to divide Nigeria from their own enclave. This is not just this bridge that was blown. There were other bridges also at Madagali and other places they were trying to cut off and become part of their own enclave from Nigeria.
Advancing through Biu, taking notes and commending troops gallantly, the Chief of Army Staff operational tour is expected to cover other parts of the Northeast. From Biu in Borno State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The activities of informants have been described as the major obstacle in the ongoing crackdown on bandits and cattle rustlers in some parts of Niger State. This came to the fore when the State Commissioner of Police, Adamu Usman, led other heads of security agencies in the state on an assessment tour of communities under security threat in Munya local government area of the state. Mukhtar Abubakar Wuwu reports.
Igu Sarki is one of the communities recently attacked by bandits and cattle rustlers in Munya local government area of Niger State few days ago.
I hear that they killed my grandchild again, and that grandchild used to come my place and greet me. He said he would go to school. That is why they didn't pay me.
Cattle rustlers killed my younger brother, carted away all my cows and other livestock.
Commissioner of Police, Niger State Command, Adamu Usman, led other heads of security agencies on assessment of security situation in the areas with a view to working out modalities to forestall the security challenges in the areas. CP Adamu Usman appealed to the members of the affected communities to have confidence and assist the police with information on the activities of bandits.
It's not that we are not doing anything. Even here where we have visited, you have seen where 2 military vehicles were burned down, about 4 soldiers killed. That's to show that we are committed.
The bandits were said to be launching attacks from Gadani Forest in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State. Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
The presidency has cautioned Nigerians, especially those in the political class, against misleading the public by politicizing the security structure of the country. A statement by Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, also warned against moves and comments capable of inciting protests against the heads of military institutions. Garba Shehu says the warning becomes necessary in view of perceived and received reports suggesting that a group of men and women are being hired to demonstrate against Nigeria's service chiefs next week, Monday. The plan, the statement out, is part of the latest in a series of demonstrations orchestrated by the opposition to embarrass the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. The media is therefore urged to remain unbiased and discerning in their reporting. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, says as a follow-up to the ministry's statement on diversions and cancellations of flights into and from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, the situation has been reversed as both international and domestic flight operations have resumed at the airport. A statement by the Director, Public Affairs of the Ministry, James Obaudu, confirmed that the British Airways is among the 12 international arrivals at Lagos this Saturday, as well as 13 domestic arrivals at the time of filing this report. Serika wishes to reiterate that the diversions and cancellations as a result of highly inclement weather conditions are not regular to Lagos or Nigeria, but a global phenomenon, as even the most developed nations of the world have been experiencing same, resulting from weather vagaries. Aviation Minister appreciates the understanding of those affected by the unfortunate situation and assures them of government determination and commitment to the protection of Nigerian travelers at all times. All hands must be on deck to resist and fight acts of terrorism bedeviling Nigeria and countries worldwide. This was a call by the United Nigeria Chaplaincy Corps in Abuja on government and other stakeholders to prefer lasting solutions to counter terrorism for peace and security in the country.
The charter is about living in the spirit of brotherhood and goodwill.
We can't be waiting for government to try. We need to join force immediately to call all the regions and sit together and see the way out.
Now, the Benue State Police Command has confirmed the abduction of 2 medical doctors and a health worker by unknown gunmen along a Chama-Boku Road in Okpoku Council area of Benue State. Confirming the incident in a telephone interview, the Public Relations Officer, DSP Sewes Nene, said the 3 persons who are staff of the General Hospital Okpoga were returning from work on Thursday this week when the abductors accosted their vehicle and took them to an unknown destination. According to the police spokesperson, the officers of the State Command had launched a manhunt on the kidnappers and expressed confidence that the abducted persons would regain their freedom. DSP Nene called on members of the public to give useful information to security agencies so as to arrest the abductors. In other news, it was a hectic day for motorists plying the Lagos Third Mainland Bridge this Saturday. This is as a result of another case of suicide by a young man who jumped into the lagoon. Annie Daniels reports that efforts by officials of relevant agencies are on to recover the body.
Lagos Lagoon has witnessed a series of suicide cases, the latest by a male adult, Daibo Toju Davis, 22 years, residing at 17 Soshanyo Street, Bagada Sholuyi, Lagos. NTA News was informed that the victim on board a commercial vehicle informed the driver he had stomach upset and would want to throw up. The driver of the vehicle obliged him, only to find out that the victim had jumped into the lagoon. As at the time of filing this report, personnel of the Lagos State Fire Service, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency and other sister agencies are still searching for the corpse of the victim. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
The Senate Committee on Works has assured Nigerians and contractors handling the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Lagos-Badagry Expressway of its legislative roles of ensuring that adequate funding and supply of construction materials are provided for the speedy completion of the project. Chairman of the committee, Adamu Aliero, was speaking during an oversight function of the roads. Maka Uwo reports.
The Lagos-Badagry 46-kilometer expressway, also known as the Trans-West African Coastal Highway, is strategic to the economic development of the nation as it is expected to foster trade relations between Nigeria and other West African countries. This is why utmost supervision and consistency of work is required to ensure speedy completion of the road.
I commend the federal government so far about what they have done concerning this road, because those of us who are living around this axis have suffered for a very long time.
The inspection of the ongoing construction on the road by the Senate Committee on Works provided the contractors opportunity to state setbacks.
The new pink, their strike.
New pink, okay.
Yes, the custom not allow my diesel tank, the bitumen tank, go to Badagry Bridge.
Chairman of the committee, Adamu Aliero, promised to liaise with the appropriate authorities to provide solutions to issues raised.
The direction given by the Controller General that petrol tankers are not allowed 20 kilometers away from the border, I think it should not affect construction company. We are going to look into this and we will advise the Controller General to give exemptions.
The committee members and officials of the Federal Ministry of Works also visited the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, where they expressed satisfaction with the quality of work done. In Lagos, Amaka O, NT News.
Residents of Upiebwe Angwa community in Edak local government area have appealed to the relevant authorities of government and international agencies to come to their aid over the ravaging gully erosion threatening to sack the community. Correspondent Usman Kambu reports.
Ngwa community in Ida local government area severely threatened by gully erosion accommodates thousands of people, including civil servants in tertiary institutions, staff and students in public and private schools, as well as patients and workers in the hospitals within the community. Some residents explained that the erosion started way back in 2010 when the dualization of Ida Township Road leading to Federal Polytechnic Ida commenced, and other rehabilitation of roads were done without adhering to road construction specifications in terms of proper drainage system and soil texture.
The contractor that handled the work did not channel the erosion down, channel the drainage down. The inhabitants of Ubiegbe and Guainida local government, most of us are homeless.
It is a terrible situation and it has gutted and washed away many houses.
We plead to the federal government or whoever is willing to help us, especially the agencies, to help us out. If not, we are in doom.
Ata Igala and President Kogi State Council of Chiefs, Idako Michael Amebon II, called on well-meaning Nigerians and all stakeholders to come together in order to put an end to erosion in Ida. From Angwa community in Ida, Osman Gambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates and praised Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi for his commitment to peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance in the country, describing him as elderly gentleman. This is coming as the president felicitates with the Islamic scholar on the conferment of an honorary doctorate degree by the Federal University Lafia, Nasarawa State, in recognition of his contributions to knowledge and learning. A statement by Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, says, while felicitating with the Sheikh on the well-deserved honor, the President wished him more good health and long life in the service of humanity. President Buhari noted that given Bauchi's encyclopedic knowledge and vast influence in Africa, it's impossible to find the right adjectives that can adequately do justice to his extraordinary virtues and gifts. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has felicitated with the governor of Kaduna State on the occasion of his 60th birthday on Sunday, 16th February 2020. In a statement by the special advisor to the president of the Senate, Ola Woni, said Governor El-Rufai's life reflects the importance of vision, focus, tenacity, wisdom, and courage in leadership. The Senate president said those attributes have propelled El-Rufai to the outstanding successes that he has recorded in every role that the Providence has called him to play in the public affairs of Nigeria. You are watching Weekend File. Better understanding of the psychology of vandalism will enable us to identify the link between the actors, the object, reward attached to it, and of course the devastating consequences. We will put all of this into context in the conversation segment, which comes after correspondence report, which is next. Let's take a break now.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in conjunction with the Nigerian Defense Academy, NDA, is set to mark the passing out parade of cadets of EFCC Detective Inspector Course 5 from the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, which will take place on Tuesday, February 18, 2020, at the Nigerian Defense Academy NDA Parade Ground, Afaka, Kaduna. Time, 9 o'clock in the morning. The event shall be preceded by a cocktail party at the NDA Cadets Mess, Ribadu Campus, Kaduna, on Sunday, February 16, 2020. Time is 7 o'clock in the evening. Reviewing officer and special guest of honor, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please note that both events are strictly by invitation.
This year, the weather conditions Harmattan in Nigeria is harsh, with temperature dropping very low in some parts of the country. Many underprivileged children are exposed to these harsh weather conditions, putting them at risk to all sorts of respiratory infections with devastating consequences. We request well-meaning Nigerians to kindly donate warm clothing, blankets, beverages, soap, moisturizers, and other essential items for the benefit of these children. Get involved to support displaced and underprivileged children, exposed to these harsh weather conditions. Powered by Aisha Buhari Foundation.
Coming on April 2nd, 2020, in the capital city of Abuja, the Ivory 8 Ball, a life-saving fundraising event featuring music and arts in aid of skin cancer patients with albinism. For participation and sponsorship, call Edidiong on 070-197-73352 or Chinwe on 090-559-61514. This event is powered by Nigerian Television Authority, TV Enterprises, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, African Independent Television, and Ray Power FM, Silverbird Television, and Rhythm FM. The Albino Foundation, the Ivory 8 Ball, for a worthy cause. Watch out.
Your information dey important, just like your identity. Now the only way we fit take hala you. Make you go browse easy.gotvafrica.com. Sign in with your IUC number and mobile number and scroll down to personal details and address. Then check well to see say everything bam. You fit change the one we not correct. To finish everything, just click the save button and it don't finish.
Thank you. I make sure say my phone number dey correct. That's not why GoTV fit call me make I come collect my own awoof.
Angel, time for my phone in that way because now my correct phone number dey for move.
GoTV, live it, love it.
Now look me again, no. Make you go do your own.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Our guest tonight is Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji. Engineer Adetunji is the Chief Operating Officer, NNPC Downstream. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, before we engage you in a conversation, let's take the first two reports. Charles Abba in our Makurdi Network Center reports that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC depot, Makurdi, has remained a shadow of its past glory due to incidents of pipeline vandalism, which has grounded pumping of petroleum products to the depot, a situation which now gives extra cost of transportation of the products for marketers. And now let's hear from Charles.
The crave for getting rich quickly has lured some people into pipeline vandalism without recourse to its consequences of loss of lives, destruction of property in the event of fire outbreaks, and plunging the nation's economy into quagmire, as evidenced in the loss of billions of naira, as reported by the NNPC. In Benue State, for instance, the one-time vibrant NNPC depot in Makurdi, where petroleum products were lifted by marketers, has been reduced to a mere bridging status.
The risk involved in the business is there. You know that our product is highly inflammable. So most of these trucks, we have lost many trucks during these times. At times we lost even our product, our petroleum product. We even lost our drivers.
Information that we have gathered indicates that at the moment, there is no incident of pipeline vandalism in Benue State. What is being done at the moment is called bridging, and that is done at the NNPC depot.
In the NNPC depot here, there are electronic mechanisms that monitors pipeline. So what we do is a collaboration. When they notice anything of that nature, they alert us and quickly we swing into action. Our products are not being calling through the pipeline all along, so we don't have that issue.
They further gave assurances that the Makurdi depot would commence taking delivery of petroleum products through the pipelines in no distant future, as they expect repair works to be carried out soon. In Makurdi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Thank you, Charles. Now, Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country, has had its fair share of pipeline vandalism over the years. This is connected with its conspicuous closeness and gateway for the importation and distribution of petroleum products to other parts of Nigeria through the ports. The consequences of these series of vandalism are huge in terms of its socio-economic impact on the nation. Tunde Saike in this report takes a look at the brief history of these activities and the final consequences in Lagos.
as the port where finished of refined petroleum products over the years are discharged and transported either through pipelines or tankers to other parts of the country. As a result of this, the metropolis, especially the creeks and suburbs where these pipelines pass through, makes it more vulnerable to vandalism. Between Atlas Co and Mosimi Depot since December 2006 and January 2020, there have been more than 436 breaches on the NNPC pipelines.
We are hoping and counting on Nigerians to help us resolve this because this is a major national security concern.
On December 26, 2006, Abulegba, one of the Lagos suburbs, was on the face of the world as more than 269 people were burnt alive when a ruptured NNPC pipeline burst into flame when scores of residents had gone to scoop petroleum products. Ijegun, another suburb, followed suit in May 2008. This even led to the renaming of the scene of the incident, Fire Junction bus stop, after several persons, including school children, lost their lives and several property worth billions of naira destroyed. July 4, 2009, another pipeline fire occurred barely 1 year after at the same Ijegun site. The most recent is on the 19th of January this year at Ile-Ipo area of Abulegba, where fatalities was 5, 20 hospitalized, 150 persons including children displaced, 11 buildings and several vehicles destroyed. According to the NNPC, over $745 million have been lost to pipeline vandalism between January and December 2019. This has led to huge economic losses apart from the social consequences.
The devastating of the pipeline leakage is more than the war itself. And our people don't realize that. What happened in Abulegba is just a small section with a small portion of line that exploded. Imagine if it cut across a kilometer or half a kilometer, the devastation that will happen.
From all indications, there is the need for increased security surveillance and intelligence gathering by security agents and residents along pipeline areas, as the pipelines are poorly secured, making them vulnerable to vandals who are well known to some of the residents. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
All right, you now bring back our guest, Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji, Chief Operating Officer, NNPC Downstream. Once again, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you very much.
Now, using Tunde Saiki's cataloging of incidents of pipeline vandalism in Lagos and the recent one in Abulegba, how often do we have such experience elsewhere?
Thank you very much. Pipeline vandalism is something that is of serious concern to NNPC and to Nigerians at large. Like you mentioned in the report that we just saw, the Okeodo Ile-Ipo incident of January 19, there were 5 fatalities, and this is very, very, very regrettable. Every soul lost, is something of regret for NNPC and for Nigerians. I pray for the soul of the repose of the soul of the departed. NNPC, like manages about 5,000 kilometers of a pipeline network of products across the country, connecting 21 depots that we have. Of recent, what we have noticed that, the last 4 years, we've seen, some gradual decline in terms of pipeline vandalism, even though it's still at a level that is not acceptable. If I take System 2B, which is from Atlas Cove to Mosimi all the way to Ilorin, about 370 kilometers. The biggest area that is vulnerable is the Atlas Cove to Mosimi line, about 75 kilometers of pipeline. And the island of about 13 kilometers for Atlas Cove is also very vulnerable. In 2015, we had about 1,100 acts of vandalism on that pipeline. And in 2019, we had a much reduced number, about 470, like you mentioned, in that pipeline. So you can see between 2015 and 2019, we are beginning to see a reduction. Similarly, if you look at System 2E, which is from Port Harcourt to Aba, to Enugu, and to Makurdi, that was featured in your report. In 2015, we had about 780 incidents on that line. And in 2016, it rose about 1,400 incidents on that System 2E. What we saw in 2009 was again a reduction. So if you look at between 2015 and 2019, we are seeing reduction in terms of pipeline vandalism. But like I said, every act of pipeline vandalism is something that I want to check. Our goal is goal zero, like you said, so that we reduce pipeline vandalism in the country.
Now, there's a reduction from what you've said. But then like this frequency in these attacks has been recorded. What measures does NNPC have in place, to put an end to further hacking of these national assets?
So we have a cocktail of measures that we are deploying. I will take those 4 of them. The first one is recovery. And by recovery, we mean that we want to get access back to our right-of-way. Pipeline right-of-way is about 25 kilometers. So if you have the pipeline running, it's about 12.5 meters on the right side, 12.5 meters on the left side. So 25 meters should be, free for us to be able to have access to the pipeline. So since of recent, what we've done is that we are trying to recover the right-of-way so that will give us visibility on what is happening on the pipelines. We've employed the services of the Army Corps of Engineers, sappers, to assist us in that. They've gone through a certain part of the pipeline, which we have done. Also, of recent, we've been able to get Nigerian Navy to look at the area of the System 2B, that's Atlas Cove to Mosimi, and the island of Atlas Cove. They've also, helped us with that. We can recall the operation Kurombe recently that looked at Takwa Bay, and where about 1,300 illegal structures, were removed. What we saw is that when the pipeline right-of-way is breached, these are more or less like depots. On those pipeline right-of-way, people connect, people call it pipes into their homes, and where they take off and siphon, petroleum products, which is also, like we know, is danger to lives and properties. So the activities we are doing. So the first one, like I said, is a recovery. The second thing we are doing is around technology. Technology in the sense that we're looking at trying to get the pipelines buried much deeper than they are today, using what you call HDD, horizontal directional drilling. We can take the pipeline down to about 40 meters. 40 meters, just to give a sense, about 13-story building. Those will make it very hard for the vandals to have access to the pipeline. Of course, that's very expensive. It's about 5 times the cost of putting pipeline, burying it normally about 1 meter to 5 meters deep. We are doing that. The third area is what we call security. And in security, we are doing a new security architecture, which will involve the community, which will involve security agencies, NNPC, and also some other technology that we are going to develop, we are going to deploy. Drones, for example, looking at technology to be able to have access, real-time monitoring of the pipelines. Those are coming into place. The fourth area is what you call education and reorientation. In education and reorientation, we're going to have massive campaigns to ensure that the communities and people where the pipeline passes understand the danger of tampering and building the pipelines. We've seen so many lives that have been lost, and we don't want that to happen again. Like I said, our goal is goal zero, to ensure that we don't have any loss of lives and property anymore on our systems.
Now, tell me more about this technology aspect of it. You talked about drone, which of course is very cost-effective. Is huge when it comes to the complexity of it. Now, is it just the burying of the pipe deep down for 13 stories, as you mentioned, or is there going to be any kind of guidance or monitoring arrangement using technology to do that?
Like I said, there'll be a cocktail. So there'll be burying. There'll also be having instrumentation to be able to monitor what's going on the line. So there are any breach, even those that are not buried that deep, because, with technology we have today, you can only do about 3-4 kilometers at a stretch of HDD. So you have to come out again and go down. So where you have that, we're going to have instruments to be able to monitor what's on the pipeline. Drones will be there as well, like I mentioned, just to have oversight, flying across the pipeline. But the other thing we also need to realize is that we have to have a response system. Right, so it's one thing to be able to detect that there is an infringement or there's people who are going close to the pipeline right of way. We also need to have a place whereby we can respond quickly, and that's where the community and government security agencies also come in, to assist and to be part of the overall architecture of security for our network, pipeline network.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Ademi Adetunji. Well, let's take more reports and we'll get back to you. Despite the challenges pipeline vandalism posed to the people of Rivers State and the Nigerian economy, acts of pipeline vandalism continues to thrive in most parts of the state and environs, leaving its trail myriads of environmental, health and economic hazards. Emmanuel Lene has a situation report on the menace and the efforts at addressing them.
Statistics from the National OSP Detection and Response Agency, NOSRA, Zonal Office in Port Harcourt reveals that a total of 229 cases of pipeline vandalism was recorded in Rivers State in the year 2019 alone. Prominent among communities that suffered incidents of vandalism in the state are Ikonkom community in Oyigbo, where about 50 persons were burnt beyond recognition while trying to scoop petroleum products from a vandalized pipe. Others are Ubeta in Ahoda West and Abua Odwa, who also suffered same fate. Suit and its resurgence, regular arrest of suspects, impounding of trucks with adulterated products by the NSCDC are pointers to the thriving illegal business in the state.
And when you look at the fact that artisanal refining is on the increase, that goes a long way to tell you how far or how well orchestrated this artisanal refining is going on.
Conscious of their core mandate to protecting these critical national assets, the NSCDC and the State Ministry of Energy are proactive in addressing these challenges.
We are winning the war because the awareness now has gone far and wide that you don't tamper with the critical national assets, especially when we're talking about the oil facilities. It's a no-go area.
What we are trying to do is to see how we can put appropriate investment in that area. We'll get return in terms of revenue, we'll get in returns in terms of putting these people out of business.
Observers canvass for increased public enlightenment and awareness on its adverse implications. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Lene, NTA News.
Now, from Enugu comes a report that key players in the petroleum industry are urging the federal government to fast-track the process of resuscitating Enugu depot and pipelines to prevent carnage and other associated hazards on the road. Jude Abugu has that report.
Before the suspension of petroleum products lifting from the depot, the Enugu depot was serving 3 states in the southeast, Enugu, Ebonyi, and Anambra, as well as some parts of Kogi and Benue states. Petroleum dealers from these areas lament that because the Enugu depot is not functioning, they are subjected to a lot of hardship as they travel to Lagos, Port Harcourt, Warri, and Calabar depots to lift petroleum products.
Most times they're involved in one accident or the other, and sometimes it takes life. And even it's not only on our side, that most times the products equally spill. And these are money we borrow from the banks, which we pay interest on.
Part of the reasons for the suspension of petroleum products lifting activities at the depot was incessant havoc wreaked on pipelines by vandals in the area. However, the state commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps explained that with the recent successes recorded by the command in its fight against vandalism, there will be no cause for worry if the depot is revived.
So many modalities in place to making sure that all those things that may hinder smooth run of petroleum products are nipped in the bud. So we've deployed our men in those places where the pipelines run through.
Key players expressed hope that the depot, when revived, will help to reduce pressure and carnage arising from petroleum tankers on the road and would as well reduce costs on haulage and transportation. In Enugu, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
Well, thank you, Jude. Now we are taking another break. When we come back, we'll continue with our conversation.
So, you now want to pick my call?
Then bomb me where? Mommy of life. Toilet, mommy.
Where my car?
Mommy, now smart things remain.
If my car not ready before tomorrow. Me and you go put leg inside one trouser. Wallahi.
Lost my phone.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Not got this phone, no. All right. Yes, ma. Hey, Maja Kini.
Mommy, no be you. Don't waste your credit. When I finish, I go call.
You call me. Me when my middle name na credit. Where Glow they give me boku.
Glow and Mebo. Get 5 times your recharge to call all networks. Recharge with *555* PIN hash.
Just talk people. I beg, give me my phone, make I go, Joe.
Talon so talk yen.
Not so fast. Look, I'm tired. I want to check out of this country for greener pastures.
Just calm down for a moment. Please sit down.
Do you have a job where you're going to? No, but someone is arranging,
Listen, Alinko. Checking out of this country without proper planning means one thing. Unimaginable begin. You know, I've been in the diaspora, but legitimately doing great things at home and abroad. As I've been saying, without the proper footing abroad, the risk is not worth it. Listen, Alinko, it's better to be home than be trapped abroad or even end up in prison.
Today or 4 days when my girls won't come visit me, I need to come go expire.
Oh, but my guys, they can't follow me watch this match. I must not fold the hand. Hey,
Babe, what's happening now?
Sorry to disappoint you, but my subscription don't expire.
The match is not on my GoTV package.
Now your holla be that. I beg, give me your phone. Look, I show you how you go take Dua for my GoTV app for your phone.
Life is so much easier with my GoTV app. Make payments, clear error messages, change your package. You can also check your due dates and keep abreast of your payment history.
With the corner, Matip is there.
The new My GoTV app is everything you need in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download My GoTV app now from Google Play or App Store to enjoy the easy life. GoTV. Live it, love it.
Welcome back. I'm still with Engineer Ademir Adetundi. 2 reports, one from Charles Harbour in Makurdi and Judah Bugu from Enugu. They indicated the fact that the depot in Enugu and that of Makurdi are dysfunctional as a result of pipeline vandalism. What has happened in those areas?
Thank you very much. Those 2 depots, Enugu and Makurdi, are on what we call System 2E. System 2E takes product from Port Harcourt to Aba, to Enugu, and then to Makurdi. About 380 kilometers distance. Between Port Harcourt and the Aba depot is about 50 kilometers. That segment has been recovered, and since 2019 we have been pumping on a fairly regular basis to Aba depot. So Aba depot has been recovered, and the last pumping was even as recent as last week. But Enugu depot has, between Aba and Enugu, is about 150 kilometers of pipeline. That pipeline has been severely breached. We have about 32 or so hotspots along that pipeline. The last time we pumped product there in November 2019, from about 10 million liters, we could recover only about 3 million liters. It's about 70% loss on the pipeline. That is very huge. That's a loss of revenue, to the nation. As recent as last month, January 30th, I was in Enugu, as part of the efforts to ensure that we begin to further engage, the communities and the stakeholders in those places to ensure that they are also part and parcel, just like the GMD mentioned when it was in Lagos, in protecting the assets of the country, especially the pipelines network. So we had some discussions, and they did promise, the people that we met, that we are going to ensure that they get around again and engage the communities on which the pipelines right of way passes. The same thing for Makurdi. Makurdi, like I said, is an extension of the Enugu pipeline. Makurdi has been challenged because that segment is also about 170 kilometers or so is also severely breached. As part of the whole recovery efforts in the NNPC, we are taking a second look at all of these pipelines to ensure, like I said, we have new modern technology in terms of how the pipelines are laid and also have monitoring systems on them. But it's important to repeat that all Nigerians must also come together to ensure the security of these assets. We will do our best in terms of putting technology in place, putting all things in place, but like we said, we need the cooperation of Nigerians to ensure that this, because the depots are actually an integral part of the economy of those locations where they are placed. Whenever the depot is in operations, there are so many economic activities in those places, and those are part of efforts we need to do to ensure that we create jobs and a vibrant economy for Nigeria.
Let me take you back to the communities, involving communities in this. What kind of security architecture do you think that NNPC and other agencies, plus of course communities, can put together to checkmate the activities of vandals?
The security architecture we have now actually involves even communities. So youths in the communities are part of security guards that are put on the right of way. In addition to having government security agencies like civil defense, in some places Nigerian police, in some places like in the Atlas Cove 2B, we have Operation Awase, which was made of Nigerian Navy. They are also there. So it's a gradual level. So we have the community, we have government security agencies, we have NNPC, involved. And those community members, in various sections where pipeline right of way passes, we also are part of the architecture in the first place. They need to be more alive to their responsibility, need to have sense of ownership to ensure that they do report and they do repel people who are trying to breach the right of way, because this is their asset, and if those things are out of place, like we said, it will affect the economy of those areas.
All right. When we spoke about technology and burying the pipes right deep down, we talk about 5,000 kilometers of pipeline network. Talking about the huge sum that is going to take. If that phase actually is going to be embarked on by NNPC, when is it likely to start?
Well, like I said, if you're going to do HDD in all sections, which would be almost practically, technically a challenge, but even the cost will be humongous. So we are going to look at the hotspots. Like I mentioned now in System 2E, that's the Port Harcourt about all the way to Makurdi line, about 32 hotspots. So we're doing there by hotspot along the hotspot areas, which we have done in Lagos. For example, we've done the Arepo, which used to be a big hotspot. Today Arepo is quiet. We have done also in Ijododo, which also was another hotspot along the System 2B. That also is quiet. So, and in the System 2B, we have 4 areas hotspot that we're also looking at doing HDD this year. I will take them, in bits and pieces as we go along. We can't have HDD throughout the entire segment, but we look at the hotspots and we deploy HDD in those hotspots.
Sorry, sometimes in some part of Niger Delta, you see some pipelines above the ground level. What is it deliberate, or is it the kind of technology applied? Why do we have to see them, especially even within communities?
Well, some of those pipelines, like we said, were built about 40 years ago. So there's also time for some of them to be renewed. We are having a whole program of asset renewal, this thing. In other countries, you can see pipelines above the surface. They can be above the surface, they can be below the surface.
Adequate surveillance.
Adequate surveillance. And also adequate consequences for those that actually go and tamper with the pipelines.
Okay, as we round up this conversation, what's your final word on this matter, considering the current efforts by NNPC to revamp the refineries and the central role of pipeline network across the country? Let's in a few words.
Yeah, pipelines actually are the fastest and cheapest means of moving products. And for the refineries that are being rehabilitated, we need pipelines to supply crude to the refineries. We need pipelines to also evacuate products from the refineries. Yes, we have railways, we have trucks, other means of transportation. But in terms of the ease of transport, ease of movement, in terms of cost, pipelines are still, the critical assets, to use or deploy.
All right, Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji, would like to thank you for coming on this program today. We've heard from you, and of course, I just are looking forward to further development in that in the downstream sector of the NNPC. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji is the Chief Operation Officer, NNPC Downstream. You're still watching Weekend File. Let's take another break. We'll be back in just a moment.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka, no panic.
There's me no panic.
You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK.
Press OK.
Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK.
Press OK. Wow, now you fit catch all those channels with the one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your groove for no loss. You see as I do, Abi? And I see as I do,
Go TV, live it, love it.
And I see as we do,
Now sports, Nigeria